as much as I would love to have this thing on, no, I'm good. If you guys haven't guessed, we're taking a look at a bit of a Mandalorian that we all know and love. That's why I got the t-shirt on, I got the green flannel, I got the green lights on, I got the helmet. You know exactly what Mandalorian we're taking a look at. And it's none other than the star of Book of Boba Fett, The Mandalorian. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I don't like the Book of Boba Fett that much. And one reason is kind of to do with him. But he does have a pretty dope figure, and he does have some pretty cool scenes in the show. So I am still very excited to look at this guy. So I am personally still pumped up for this review. But yeah, I just thought that the green and it's based off the Book of Boba Fett look. So I just kind of thought green lights, Book of Boba Fett shirt, green flannel, helmet. It fits, I guess. You got Cad Bane in the background too, so he's a big old Book of Boba Fett theme going on here. I have a lot of merch on the Book of Boba Fett, even though I really didn't care for the show. But maybe that's for another topic. Maybe I'll do that in my Cad Bane review when I take a look at this guy behind me. But other than that, we're going to be taking a look at this guy. Not going to waste any of your time. I am very excited to get into this figure. And it's going to be fun. I cannot wait to get into this guy. I'm very interested to see the differences between the original Mandalorian Din Djarin compared to the one that we have now. So far, the only differences that I see is kind of some paint and the cloth cape, which I'm very excited for. And other than that, that's pretty much all I got so far. So we're going to take a look at this figure and see the differences between the two when we do a side-by-side comparison. So let's just get right on into it. Like I said, I am pretty excited about this figure, but yeah, I didn't really care for his appearance in the show. I mean, it was cool, but I think it really took away from, the Boba Fett spotlight, really, especially since how kind of badly they did Boba Fett. But again, that's like for another topic. For the figure itself, it does look really cool. I really do like the packaging. You can see that it has kind of like this green wrap around right here, which has Book of Boba Fett right there, he's based off of the Book of Boba Fett, which is pretty cool. You could see that there is a nice image of Mando right here, which is pretty cool. Some more stuff about him, and you also get some information about the character, which you can pause at if you want, and another image of the figure. So I think that's pretty much all you got to cover. It's standard Black Series box design, nothing too fancy, and it does have a window. So I think that is very, very cool to see, because I really do like when they do their window packagings. So yeah, I think the next thing to do is get this guy open. And there's something like super hilarious that I saw on like TikTok or something on how somebody opened this. So I'm just gonna hurt you guys right now because it's interesting. So pretty much what he did was there we go. There's the figure. I will say he was a little bit more graceful than that. But you can see he does come with some accessories, which we can just get those out. Those are all just taped in there. Pretty nice and well, I guess. And those are, they're pretty much taped in there. So let's take out most of the accessories and the figure himself. Which, there we go. You got the figure and these other items here. Yeah. Come on, there we go. And then this stupid little knife, which is very stuck in there. If we can just, there we go. Awesome. So that's the packaging. Let's take a look at all of his accessories like we usually do. So here is all of his accessories pretty much laid out right here. So I want to start off with the simple little blaster. This is the, I believe it is the IB 94 blaster, which is pretty much what he uses as his base weapon. So let's try and do our best to focus this piece of shit here. There we go. And I will say, It's very nice looking. I actually really do like the way this blaster looks. It's very nicely detailed, and I love the grip. I think it's really cool. It looks very nicely detailed. Painting wise, I think it does look nice. It's kind of got this very gunmetal gray look to it, and I do like of course, the hilt itself. And kind of comparing it to the other ones, we're just going to do a comparison right off the bat here. So starting off with kind of just regular Din Djarin blaster. This came with, the basic armor, before he got his Beskar upgrade. This is basically what that looks like. And comparing that to the Book of Boba Fett, pretty big difference, I would say. I would say that is a huge difference. And you can see that there it is on the other side. And yeah, I'd say that's a pretty big difference. It looks like they just copied one side and just pasted it on the other, which I'm pretty sure that this is more accurate, just to have, one side a little bit more smoother than the other. So I'd say that's a pretty good little detail. And of course, you can see that the hilt is very different, very, very different in sculpting. I do believe that this might be a whole new sculpt for this blaster, which I do appreciate when stuff does that. It does look a little bit more slimmer than the original, so that's definitely got that going. This one is more of like a silver with the brown hilt, and this one has that gunmetal gray with the kind of more wooden brown hilt. But then you bring out the new one, which this one came with the kind of upgraded Beskar armor, which is pretty different. You can see that the actual hilt itself is black instead of brown. I'm pretty sure this one's more accurate, but it uses the exact same sculpt, just that kind of more darker color gunmetal, and the black hilt or handle. And yeah, this one uses a even more darker gunmetal, and then it's got the wooden hilt. So I think that the painting on this one is definitely so much better than the other two, because the newest Beskar one is pretty good. The black hilt I don't believe is accurate at all. I think the brown one was, but I do like the coloring on this one a lot better than this one. But this new one definitely has both of these beats, so I would definitely suggest, this one's the best. So pretty cool. So bringing out his next accessory, which I don't know why I unfocused the camera for this, we're bringing out the knife that he comes with, which Din Djarin has not came with a knife yet, from what we've seen with the other sets, but you can see that it is pretty nicely sculpted. It's kind of hard to tell what's kind of going on here. If we kind of get that as close as possible. But it just looks weird to me. I'm pretty sure this little glob, it looks like just a weird glob of paint, but I'm pretty sure that's like detailing that is supposed to be there. But overall, the knife looks nice. It kind of has that kind of switchblade look to it, which is interesting, but it just looks like there's like a glob of paint right there, which I'm pretty sure it's not. It looks like detailing, just kind of, I guess the way the camera's picking it up, it looks like a glob of paint, but I think all of this is intentional. And in person, just looking at it right now, it does look very nice, and it doesn't look like a glob of paint. It looks like it's actually supposed to do that. But it is cool. I really do like the handle. It's kind of got a almost on the verge of like a brown, or like almost like that kind of bronze look, but it's more of a gunmetal gray as usual. And then you got the knife piece, which is pretty dope. Really do like that. Bringing out the next accessory, which we'll probably do this one next, is the jetpack, which I believe is very new than what we're used to. So I think this is pretty dope. But bringing this out, comparing it to the older one, I believe the sculpt is kind of the same. I do believe it is the same. There is just some detailing that is, actually, this is a brand new sculpt from what I'm seeing. You could see, I think the big differences for me is definitely seeing these little kind of, I guess, antenna pieces. They're molded to the actual back part, but on this one, they're actually jetting out just a little bit, which is pretty cool. You can see that there's a very nice it's an overall better paint job, making it look like an actual silver, comparing to this one, which is cool. I like the speckling on this one. It's very nice, but I think this one fits so much better. Going down to the bottom, you can see that the holes at the bottom of the boosters is very different from each other. And I'm sure you could fit some accessory pieces, which I might actually try in a little bit because I do have some nearby. And you can see there's a big difference at the back right here, which is pretty cool. I really do like that they actually took the time to actually sculpt a new and more accurate jetpack piece, which I think is very nice. And I think with that cloth cape, it's gonna really help it out a lot, and it's not gonna look awkward with the plastic. So this is pretty cool. Really do like that. And then we have the next accessory, which is the Darksaber itself. So this Darksaber design, I believe, has come out in other sets, but I don't have anything else. So this is my first dark side figure, or my first dark side lightsaber, which is honestly pretty dope. I actually really do like it. The blade itself is very simplistic, and the black really does pick up fingerprints because, it's like kind of like that glossy black from what I'm seeing. So it's not completely perfect. It looks like fingerprints. I don't know if that's like my fingerprints or that's just kind of weird paint stuff going on there. But yeah, it does look nice. It does get the job done for what the Darksaber is. Maybe a little bit more detailing, I would say. But it does look pretty cool. And of course, the hilt itself is very nice looking. I really do like the hilt, and it's very accurate. I don't know if the paint job is accurate. I do like that kind of dark gunmetal gray that they usually been using. I think that's pretty cool. And of course, if you do not want it ignited, you can easily take this little piece off. And there you go. You have a Darksaber without the light part, so you can kind of just have it hanging on Din Djarin. But I don't know if it actually can do that, and it just plugs in with a peg, just like so. Snaps on in, and it's a very nice connection. I really do like the way that feels. And it is pretty straight for the time, as of right now. Usually when I see lightsaber blades, they kind of bend a little, but it's pretty good, pretty nice and straight. I really do like the way it looks. I think if you're doing photos, I think this is a very nice template, so you can kind of edit the light yourself. But it's very nice looking. I really do like that. So all of his little accessories, I think, fit very nicely. So what I'm kind of hoping for is that he does have a spot to store these, because it'd be really cool to have the Darksaber just kind of hanging on his belt, or the knife going somewhere else. But this is my first time interacting with the figure, so I am very excited. So let's get the figure right out here. So here is the figure himself standing in front of us, and I have to say this right off the bat. This is probably the best Mandalorian Din Djarin figure that we are ever going to get. This is fantastic looking. The proportions, I think, fit beautifully. And it just looks so good. I love how the armor looks. It to me, like, it kind of looks like a very scaled down Hot Toys figure. That's what it looks like to me. It looks beautiful. It looks realistic as well. Like, this is awesome. I will say that, maybe some of the painting work is very lackluster. There's some spots that aren't painted, but that's to be expected with some figures like this, especially with Black Series figures. But I think that this is awesome. I am blown away by just how good this figure looks. I love the armor. I love how just shiny it looks. And I love just the amount of detail that they did. And I'm pretty sure that this is an all new sculpt. I do think that there is some reuses, but for the most part, there's a lot of new things here. And we'll kind of be going over as best as I can. I can't tell that much with some of them, and I know I'm going to miss some. But we'll start with just taking a look at this figure, and then we'll compare the other two Mandos that I have and see if it tops the other two. But I have to say, I do believe it will. So let's get a little bit of a closer look at this figure. So starting off with this beautiful head sculpt, which is very nice looking. I think that Din Djarin has a very interesting helmet design. and I love the way, I will say this, the figure feels amazing. Like, this is an amazing feeling figure. Kind of comparing the how this figure feels, like the oldest one, it definitely is an upgrade between them. And I know there's been other Mando figures that have come out in the past, and I don't know how those feel, but just the ones that I have now, this is a complete upgrade. It does look nice. The helmet is very nicely detailed. I will say that there's just kind of like this ugly little seam line that goes up at the top, but I mean, that, I guess that's to be expected. I feel like with the older one, with the seam line, it's not as noticeable than the newest one. But taking a look at helmets, it's pretty drastic on how different they are. This is a completely new helmet. Like, you can definitely tell. Just this one looks so much better. The paint job looks a lot, nicer. I love the shine to this one, and this one just it's a little flat when it comes to the paint job, but you could definitely tell that they did take their time with this one compared to the older version. You can see it does kind of have that, but it does look updated, and it just looks so much better than the older one, and I absolutely love it, especially that side profile. It looks very nice. The front of the chest is very nice as well. This whole satchel, I believe, is new. It is completely new. This whole satchel piece with these little flaps here, this whole gun holster, all new, very new. And also this whole, I guess that's kind of stomach piece is all new as well. It's also kind of connected to the actual spot as well. With the actual chest armor, that is also completely new as well. So they did a lot of new stuff as well. And I do believe that the shoulder pads are new. I will say that there's a lot of new things on this figure, and I absolutely love that. I always love when companies go back to an old figure and they don't reuse parts, and they don't just give the figure a whole new coat of paint. They go all out and try to make it the best that they can. And I have to give the Hasbro credit. This is a great figure. Looks wise, it looks amazing. And I love the blue. The blue really pops out, and it really complements the silver and the brown that's in there. Also, just the little bits of black, and also the tiny bits of silver that are just around are very nice. The back is pretty much the same as you would see on the normal figures. No, I'm just kidding. They look very different. You can see that they're, you got the two holes for the jetpack, and of course, there's an extra hole here, which I'm assuming that hole is to hold the rifle, which the rifle is not included with the set, but you can easily, I believe, pop the rifle onto this peg here, and it fits. It looks awesome. Dang, that looks so cool. You can really deck this figure out with a lot of stuff. I probably prefer this one because I do like the darker gunmetal gray. So just popping that onto the back here, it looks awesome. It is so cool looking. And of course, you have this new cape piece, which drapes pretty nicely. I really do like the way it drapes. And you can probably have this to the side here, and it doesn't look goofy because, of course, you had this very... I hated the cape on this figure. It was probably the worst part to me. It's nicely sculpted, it's a nice little rubber plastic, but this definitely benefited from the complete cloth cape, and I think that it does look nice. Back then, I preferred my plastic capes more than the cloth capes because, with older figures, the cloth that they would use for, figures and stuff, it really kind of sagged a lot, and it really rode up on figures, maybe puffing out the shoulders a lot because of the sewing job. But with these newer figures, I cloth all the way, go cloth all the way. I know McFarlane's doing some of theirs, which honestly, it's not bad. I still kind of prefer cloth capes, or not cloth capes, plastic capes for their McFarlane figures. I guess there's some exceptions that can be had with that. But I think that this looks nice. I think this is very nice upgrade, and it looks really cool. Because if you compare that to the older figure, plugging this in like so, and then you have the plastic cape here, it honestly doesn't look that bad either. I would say that this is still better, but this is a nice way to pose your figure. And kind of looking on the back too, I just feel like that this is better, but this is still passable, having the gun pose like that. But I am so glad that they got rid of this stupid little peg in the back, because you could see that this has this little hole, which I believe you were supposed to line it up with the figure. That's how I kind of saw it as, or you were just supposed to just plug this in. But I always just thought you were supposed to line it up with the hole here and then plug it into there, so it's supposed to look like it's attached to the strap. But I could have been wrong about that. That's just how I always did it. But I just enjoy this a lot better, and I'm so glad they got rid of that ugly little hole there. So this is very nice. I think that is really cool. And if you do have the rifle, huge step up. I think that it just looks awesome. The cape is just gorgeous looking. I really do like it. You can see that the shin pads they're also different as well, which is very nice. I guess that's shin. That's more like thigh pads, not really shin. You can see that the boots kind of still have that look to it, but again, the whole new sculpt work on this figure, very, very nice. Really do appreciate. I don't know if I was holding it like above the camera, but just another look just in case you missed it. You can see that there is a whole new sculpt work here, and again with this side as well, it doesn't look as goofy, I guess, because this looks nice, but comparing it to this looks goofy now. But yeah, it's such a huge upgrade compared to the older one, and they still do look nice. The older one is still passable, I think, but the newer one really is a huge upgrade. So I would suggest, if you're gonna get a Din Djarin figure, I would go for the Book of Boba Fett one. I know there's like tons of other Din Djarin figures. There's even one that removes his helmet, and you can see that the human face underneath. But even that, I think, will not compare to this, because that face kind of looks weird. But yeah, this is big improvements. I absolutely love the way this looks. So the next thing I want to kind of compare is, of course, the jetpack. I want to see what the jetpack looks like on this figure. So we're going to move this out of the way, plug this in like so. You're just going to plug the tab in here, and then just pop that in there like so. And if we kind of put this little part down, I honestly don't know how he usually has this. I'm assuming he just has this to the side, and there you go. That is basically how you can do that. Because if you kind of have it like this, it does look a little weird. So I would kind of have him pose with it to the side like this, and just kind of mess with it just a little bit, just to how you like it. And I think that looks good. So comparing that to how they did the older one, which we'll take a look here. Plug that little thing in, plug that there, and you can see that there is a huge difference here, and it's kind of hard to figure out where you'd want this, but I think that this shoulder would be the best. Yeah, there's a big difference here, and it doesn't look too bad from the front, but looking at it from the back, that looks bad. I don't like the way that looks. So yeah, huge improvements with this figure. And he looks very nice, and honestly still looks very intimidating with this whole look here. And I think that looks awesome. And comparing that with his other accessories, which we can probably put all of them on, which I did see, you can store all of his accessories onto the figure. So starting off with the pistol, which just goes into the holster like so, which the plastic is rubber. It's a very rubbery plastic, which I don't understand why they do. I think that, if you're doing figures, I think this one has the best. It's still kind of rubbery, but it still has that kind of stiffness to it, which I think works a lot. So putting the weapon into the holster is kind of a struggle because it likes to bend a lot. But once you get it just right inside there, boom. Very nice, very nice. And I think that this is such a better design for the holster than this because I hated this stupid little strap here. So this is awesome. It's a nice little look. And of course, you have the knife, which goes into the boot. I did not expect that. And honestly, I don't really remember him using it in the show that much, but that looks so cool. It looks awesome. So again, it's made out of a rubber. So taking it out is kind of stiff, but it can still work. And I think that looks awesome. And of course you have the Darksaber. Now, of course you can't really have the blade of the Darksaber attached to Mando in any way. So that kind of sadly has to just go to the side. But on the back of the figure here, there is a little clip just right next to this whole silver part, which I'm assuming that's just the bombs and stuff. A little clip right here that you can slide that in. And there you go. He can hold the Darksaber, so he can hold all of his accessories and still look like a badass in the making. This is so cool. I love weapon storage on figures, and this is so awesome. I love it. It's so neat. So that is awesome. I'm so glad that you can store all of his accessories onto the figure. I will say that just, the Darksaber will kind of, fall off pretty, easily. Dang, that's actually on pretty nice, but it can fall off pretty easily. So, I keep that in mind. But honestly, it's awesome. It's still really worth it. I think my only complaint about this is that the cape is kind of attached to the armor, and it does kind of look weird just a little bit. But I think it's like permanently attached, so I would just be careful not to pull it. But I think it still looks really nice. So I want to get on to posability real quick. And you can actually kind of see, that I forgot to mention, there is kind of a sculpted head underneath the actual helmet itself. It's silver, but it's there. So I think that's interesting. But moving on to posability. So posing the figure is pretty simple. He can look up that far, down that far, which is very far. I think that's a lot farther than the original. He's got some side-to-side swivel, which I'm pretty sure that's just on a ball joint. His arm can go out that far, can go a full, I believe, a full 360. Not really, the whole armor piece gets in the way, but it is kind of, it can kind of rotate a little bit with it. Just not as much. He does have a swivel at the elbow, and he does have a bend at the elbow, which is pretty decent. I believe, there we go. He has a swivel at the hand. Of course, the hinge joint at the hand as well. He does have a waist movement. He does have kind of a waist swivel, but it looks a little odd because this whole strap piece is in the way, which is kind of how it always was. He has really kind of no crunch. It kind of goes out back that far and forward that far. So it's not too much. I think everything you're going to get is from the legs itself, which the legs can go out that far and back that far. But that Mando ass is going to get in the way. He has a swivel at the thighs. He has a bend at the knee. And of course the hinge joint and the pivot. So posability, pretty decent. I think him with Grogu over here is pretty dope. I actually really do like the way this looks. This is a fantastic figure. My posability skills is not the greatest. So, getting him into these simple little poses is fine. But it still does its job. I think there's really nothing to complain about this figure. I think the only things that I will say is maybe a slight lack of paint, but honestly, that's kind of just stretching it. But other than that, this figure is fun. This is a fun figure just to have. He looks amazing. The posability is pretty good, and he's accurate. He's super accurate to the source material, and I absolutely love the way he looks. And I'm sure if he had some better flame parts, this pose is gonna look super cool in your display. Again, fixing the cape is not an issue. It's so much better than that ugly plastic cape. So fitzing around with that is going to be decent. But this is really cool looking. I absolutely love this, the way this looks, and I'm really tempted to display them like this because this is so dope. So I think that this thing is just awesome. I love the way it looks. You can definitely see that if you just have all of his weapons just decked out on him. I think it's so cool. I love seeing the Darksaber in the back. The jetpack is so cool. The little detail of the knife being in his boot, his gun in his holster, and him holding the rifle is really dope. I will say, kind of, again, like, my only complaints are very minimal. But it does suck that we don't get an actual, like, rifle with him. I'm pretty sure he doesn't, like, have it in the actual show. I don't remember. But, you know, if he does, I need to rewatch it anyways. So, I don't know, my bad, whatever. But it would be cool if he did come with the rifle, just to have all of his weapons and stuff, because, you know, I think it's pretty dope. But comparing him next to his counterpart, which we'll take the jetpack off because the jetpack just looks odd. Having him next to this counterpart and his original counterpart, you could see just the drastic change. Of course, these two, I believe, are just repaints of each other. But, you know, the big difference between them, I absolutely love this newer one, and it definitely will replace my Din Djarin. Maybe another little complaint that I have is the only thing that I really like about these two that I think is better is the way that the wrist rockets are, because, you know, the wrist rockets are kind of just on his forearm onto the side, which makes it easier to, you know, make it look like he's posing them, like he's shooting them. But with these ones, they're underneath his arm, kind of. So kind of posing it is going to have to, like, really rotate the arm like this, which I guess is fine. But if you kind of want to bend it, it just kind of looks like he broke his arm. But I hope you guys can see that because I was kind of unblurry. But yeah, whatever. But a little bit of a size comparison. Of course, we'll just bring back Din Djarin right here. There we go. There he is next to the original Din Djarin figure. And here he is next to our previously reviewed Andrew Garfield, the Amazing Spider-Man. Here he is next to the big old Batman Arkham Knight figure. And here he is next to the also big Friday the 13th Part 7 Jason Voorhees figure. And here he is next to the big boss Boba Fett. They both look sick together. I absolutely love the way these two look. They complement each other really well, which I'm partly glad that they're both in the show together because they do get their moments to shine in it. But at the same time, it just was not necessary to have some elements of Mandalorian story into Book of Boba Fett's story, because it just really threw it off a lot. And also just because we'll just add in this Cad Bane for now, because yeah, that's pretty much it. But yeah, this Book of Boba Fett line has been pretty dope so far. I do need to get me a Fennec Shand, and I also want to get what is it, Black Chrysanthemum? I think that's what his name is, or how you pronounce it. It would be really cool to get those guys because they actually were really cool in the show for the most part. But they both all of them look awesome together. So it'd be awesome to get just this Book of Boba Fett, thing going on here. But yeah, that's basically what I got so far. These figures are awesome. Show, not as much, but having the figures just with each other, I think is just so cool. But I think that's pretty much going to be it for this video. Figure is so cool looking, and I'm so happy that I have this guy in my collection, and he looks beautiful next to Boba Fett, and I absolutely love just both of them together. The whole show had its flaws, but it had its moments too, and I think one of my favorite moments was the team up between Mando and Boba Fett fighting off against the Pikes. And I think it's so cool looking. It's such a neat scene, and I love it. It's so cool. So what do I think about this figure? This figure, absolutely amazing. I will say painting, there is some spots that definitely need touch-ups. Like, I think that it would go a long way with a lot of touch-ups and stuff. But sculpting, the accuracy, is super awesome. The posability is really great. I think the only thing I got to complain about posability is maybe the waist. But other than that, this is a great figure to just kind of have around and just mess with. And he feels pretty nice too. He feels a little like loose, but I think that it works. You know, it doesn't feel like overly loose. It just feels nice. And I like the way it looks. The cape is really cool. Love that upgrade from cloth to from like plastic to cloth. I think that's really dope. And it's just so cool. It's an awesome looking figure. So what am I scoring this figure? Well, I think that the most appropriate score is definitely a 4.8 out of 5. Very, very close to being perfect. Not quite. It still has some flaws, but it's still awesome. And I highly recommend you guys check this guy out because he's really dope. And I really hope you guys like this one as well. And hopefully if you guys are looking for like a Din Djarin upgrade compared to your original, this one I think would be the one to get. So I think it's just really awesome. It's so cool looking. And yeah, it definitely needs a repaint. So hopefully a repaint will be coming soon in the future. And I cannot wait. But I still got to get through some other repaints that I'm working on, which I'll probably talk about in probably the end of the month vlog that I'll have posted probably sometime next week, this week. I don't know, whenever the end of the month is coming up. So I am super excited. So that's pretty much it. So the figure itself, really awesome. I absolutely love the way this figure looks. It is so cool. I definitely think that he is a huge upgrade to the other Mandalorian figures that you might have. And I think it just looks awesome. So that's pretty much all I got. So I'm going to put this guy on the shelf. And yeah, that's pretty much going to be it. For next month, it is going to be very exciting for me because we're going to be talking about Lego the entire month. Every single vlog is going to be about Lego, and I am very excited because I haven't really looked at much Lego stuff, so this is going to be really cool, and I cannot wait to show you some of the Lego stuff. For the first month of Lego, I'm not going to say what it is, but it is going to be Indiana Jones related, some of the newer sets, so I am very excited to show you guys what we got in store. Very, very pumped. I'm pumped for what's going to be coming. So I'm going to see you guys in the next one. And that's pretty much it. I'll see you guys next month with the Lego review month.